Hey everybody, how's it going?
Uh, Hey guys, welcome back to What's the Phuc podcast. What episode is this, Roberto?
26. Episode 26.
I can't believe we made it to episode 26 already, guys.
So we say that every episode. We're like, my God, it's us again.
No, but for real, like I actually thought that I would quit this by now and I'd be bored of it, but I think I probably need this psychology, just like you guys listening
Well,
to the
yeah.
show,
Like we sit
because
down
the
and we
world
talk
is
to each
kind
other.
of falling apart. There's some stuff happening in Ecuador, right, Roberto?
Oh yeah, it's riots. Day 12, if I'm not mistaken. And basically, what's going on is that you have. It was a pretty weird, bad situation here. Like for the past maybe like 5 years, 5 to 6 years. The thing is that I didn't know this, but you could pre-sell oil. Let's say like your production for like next year could be pre-sold, or like for the next 10 years, for the next 20 years. So we had this dude Correa a while ago, and he pre-sold a ton of our stuff to China. So basically, once the new government comes in and they're like, okay, well, they don't have that income anymore. So what happens? You have to start like you have to start taking all these drastic measures to get some money in taxes and stuff, and people don't like it. So people start rioting, and the situation within the country got pretty bad. Like it's been bad for a while because right now mainly it's the indigenous people that are like, we're all indigenous, right? We're all like mixed, like mestizo, what they call it. Like half indigenous, half European, and basically Spanish. Was the one that colonized the whole area except like Brazil, which were like the Portuguese, and in Italy, but that went to Argentina. But I mean, like they didn't mix at all and just like killed everybody there, and that was it. So like the economy was like kind of going, it was bad, but like people were still getting by, except these different communities. They couldn't get loans. People like all the bigger markets, because they basically work in like outside in the country, right? So they do all the farming jobs, all your milk, all your fruits, all your vegetables, all everything. They're the ones that produce it, and they get bought like on pennies on the dollar for what they're offering. Then they come here, bring it to the city, and they make huge profits off of them. And they weren't getting any of that. They had bad education. They had they like all their kids and all this stuff like were like not fed properly. It was a bad situation overall, and at some point it just got too much, to a point where we're at day 12 of riots. And right
And how
and
close is that from your house? Is that like down the street? I mean,
no, like it's not bad. Like they're hitting mainly like the historical center area, but besides that, it's fine. Like they what they did do is they closed off access between cities. So like there's no gas coming in. Like there's a shortage in gas. You have like regular and premium. There's no more regular. All the fruits went up. Food went up. There's no more eggs. There's no more like milk and basic necessity stuff. And yeah, so that's where we're at.
so you're basically saying you can't buy food right now.
Well, I could go and buy food, but everything went up. Everything is like way more expensive, and there's a curfew set by the government right now. It's from 5 a.m. to 10 p.m. You can go about. After that, you get arrested. Not get like arrested badly, but I mean like they just assume you're part of the bad citizens.
Of whatever the rioters or whatever the
Yeah,
resistance.
exactly. So it is pretty weird because like there's I don't know, you want to go to the suburbs, like there's some restaurants or like nice places over here, and you can't. The highway's closed. You get there and there's like a bunch of people just there with rocks and stones and trees and like tires on fire and everything, just there blocking the street. And that's it.
Wow, so they're really angry, huh?
Yeah. It got bad. I mean, like they were in a very bad situation. Like I have some statistics.
Wow. Anyway, Roberto looks like he just got knocked off accidentally. But look, it's one of those things where he's living in a country, Ecuador, that has a bunch of things going on, and the U.S. also has things going on, and so does Ukraine, and so does other parts of the world. And while Roberto's connecting back, maybe I can tell more about some of the stuff that happened to me.
Sorry about
But anyway, he's back actually. So
that.
Roberto,
Sorry.
I think you must have hung up by accident. But I was telling
Probably.
I was telling the audience how like basically you come from a rough neighborhood right now, right? And why do you live? Why do you continue to live in Ecuador?
Well, I mean, like Ecuador is a very nice place. Just these things happen every now and then. I mean, like there's a lot of like privilege and things you could do, and like I've always been like if I were to place myself somewhere, I would like middle upper. So it's fine. Like it's actually not as bad as it could be, and there's a lot of opportunities here as well. Like there's things that people. Cause I used to live in Canada, and they were like, "Oh, why did you come back here?" I'm like, "Why not? There's so many things to do here, and there's so many like things to fix, and the more people you know, the more projects you get involved in, and it gets very interesting."
So what's like the average salary of someone who lives in Ecuador? Let's say.
Average like the minimum wage, which is something that is being like fought right now because it makes no sense, is $430 about. But the minimum, what they call is like canasta básica, is basically like your food, what the amount of food you could buy that is like the basic set by the government is like $700. So how does that work?
So that's per month, or is that per year?
Per month. You
Okay,
make like,
so the average person
it's
you're
$430 a
saying makes
month.
under $700, but you're saying $700 is how much you need to buy food.
Yep. So what do you do?
What do they do?
Well, you either live very poorly, or you like get a bunch of people together. Live with your parents is a big one.
Okay, so you live in a family setting where the whole family lives together in a big house or something?
Yeah, pretty much. Like you never really move out of your parents' house.
Okay, so that's still something that people
Yeah,
do,
it
right?
happens a lot. Like, I feel like it's a generational thing as well. I mean, like, because of the people, like even my parents would have loved for me to keep living with them. And I had some friends' parents that made like a building with like 4 or 5 floors, and each floor was like an apartment for each one of their kids. Like, okay, like, and then everybody kind of lives in the same complex, but it's just weird to me. Like, I moved out of my
Actually,
house
I
when I
like
was
that.
18.
I'm going to do that with my complex. I have my brother's house 2 doors down, and we can do the same thing. So it's not weird to me. And actually, I completely understand why they do that. I'm for that. You're
Okay.
against that, right?
Well, I like my space. I mean, like my mom is like super cool and everything, but after like, you just need your space, man. Like there's
Yeah,
things
but you can
that
have space physically, but still be like next door. So, but you're saying next door is not space for you, right?
like more space. Like I don't need them checking on me if I'm coming in or going out or anything. It's like kind of nosy sometimes
Yeah, so you don't like nosy people who in
at
your
all.
life,
Like
and they don't have boundaries, and you can't talk to them, and they won't listen.
no, and they're your parents, man. Like they made you, so they're like you owe them. It's like wait a second.
Well, it depends how cool you are. So, like, if you have a good relationship with the kids, then you
Yeah.
can do that. So, actually, in Vietnam, okay, there's no concept of living away from your family. So, we live in Quê Hương, right? So, the word is Quê Hương. Quê Hương is your local village.
Okay.
So, you live basically in a big house with all your family, and all the in-laws basically live in the same neighborhood, and you would actually get buried in the back. So actually, in my house in Vietnam,
Damn. Okay.
there's a grave in the back with all my ancestors.
Okay.
So yeah, in the Asian culture, it's very important to basically have a clan. So it's almost like a tribe, right? So back then, you would have tribes or clans, the Dung family, or the Pham family, or the
Yeah. Yeah.
Jung family. And these families were known to basically have these big households, like the Asian Chinese movies, like the Asian movies. You see the kung fu movies have these huge compounds.
Yeah. Yeah.
That was the compound for that clan, and that clan was
Oh.
just literally like all the cousins and the brothers and the sisters all working together on that farm.
Okay, but you had
Okay.
like a main branch, right? Or how was it?
No,
Like
the whole point was you actually own the land around it.
okay.
So it was basically you own the farm and all the land. That's why you can be buried in the back because that's part of your farm. You have your house, you have your farm, right? And then you would have all the clan live in a basically big compound, and they all work on the farm together, or whatever the business that they specialize in.
Yeah.
So maybe it's not a farm. Maybe the clan they make swords, or maybe the clan they are blacksmiths and they make pots, or maybe the clan they run a restaurant, and the restaurant would be part of the house. So the way that it's set up in Asia is the first floor is usually open. It's open to
Okay.
the outdoors, and that could actually be a business that you run, and you would live in the second and third and fourth floors.
Hmm. Like it
Is that
doesn't make
how it is
sense.
in Ecuador?
Well, no, not really. Well, every now and then, like we do have like some. There's like like family structure, which when the wealth gets passed down from like by generations and everything, and you have like a more of a long term goal here, but it doesn't happen. Like it's not the norm. Like
Yeah.
there's
So
very
like,
like, uh
okay, so that's why I think the Asian culture is very different. So
yeah,
so that's what you're rejecting is the norm in Asia, right? So just to remind you guys, I'm Vietnamese, and one of the ways that's really different from by Vietnamese is there's no concept of you or I. I can't say you or I. I have to know relative to the person I'm talking to. For example, Roberto, are you older than me? How old are you?
37.
Okay, so you're younger than me. So you have to call me An.
Okay,
A-N-H. An.
okay,
Because that means I'm your elder brother. That's
okay,
what really An means. So, for example, when I call my big brother, I'll call him
yeah,
An. Anyone who's older than me but roughly the same age is An.
huh,
Okay? But I will call you Am. So when I call you, when I say you, I say Am. And when you say you have to say An to me in the conversation we have. So
yeah,
I would say An muốn cảm ơn em. That means me, An, would like to thank you, Am.
okay,
So there's no you and I.
huh,
So if you want to say something like am muốn, that means am means I, muốn want, cảm ơn, thank you, anh. That means that you are thanking me. But if I say am cảm ơn anh, that wouldn't make sense because I'm older than you. I would
yeah,
never
yeah,
say am. Am is no, I would say an because me, I'm the older one. So I is an for me. But when you say an, it means you. See how confusing that is?
it does like, well, it has
But not
some like
really.
it's logical. I mean, like
You am
once
and
you
I'm on.
establish,
So yeah,
yeah,
whenever you mention yourself, it's like you know how like it's like not funny to say hey um, you know how people have to use their name to mention themselves in the third person
yeah,
like
like kings.
yeah kings yeah like King Richard would like to do this or we would like
Yes,
to do this or
exactly.
whatever it is. So
It,
that's how it is in Vietnam. You have to say am would like to do this to
that's it's funny. It's funny, you know.
right. So in the third person like but relative to you guys, it's respectful because that means I'm younger than you and that anything that you say, let's say there's a zombie apocalypse, right? Literally, that's a zombie apocalypse, or let's say
Yeah.
there's a war, or let's say there's a disagreement. Even if we're strangers, you know what I have to do?
What?
I have to basically agree with you if I'm younger than you. So let's say me and you argue right now. Because I'm older than you, you have to defer to me in a tie.
Really? That's
Yeah, in
crazy.
fact, you have to give me respect.
Yeah, yeah, no. I was like, here is the same thing, but that's something that I individually have been trying to change. I mean, like, because you don't respect the age per se. You respect the knowledge that they're supposed to have accumulated throughout the years.
You respect the position in life.
Yes.
Okay, and relative to your family structure and your community structure, age deserves respect because they have more experience, and you assume that people with more experience are wiser than you.
You just assume that though. I mean, like, what if I spent my like the past 50 years of my life in a room killing puppies, and then I go out and then I'm just like this 60-year-old guy, and people will have to respect me? I haven't learned anything. I'm not a good person, or I'm not anything.
The definition of being polite is
Yes.
to give people respect before you even know who they are, because your default is to respect them, right, and defer to them in a way that naturally makes sense relative to your position. So the definition of politeness
Yeah.
is to
Yeah.
defer to someone because you respect them or their position of power or their age or whatever it is. But in Vietnam, right, your dad and your mom is number one.
Yeah.
Okay?
Definitely. Yeah, that here as well, and your
So
grandparents as
the
well.
oldest, no, I'm actually telling you, like, actually, there's a real number system. It's not
Okay.
just, so when I say the oldest brother, right, my brother, my oldest brother, I have to call An Hai. Not only do I have to call him An, but I have to give him the number two. Okay?
Okay.
And my younger brother has to call me An Ba. So my older brother is An Hai, and me, I'm An Ba,
Okay.
relative to my younger brother, who is Am to both of us, to me and my brother. So he's Am, but the thing is, I'm number 3, okay, and then he's number 4, and then if it's a girl, it doesn't matter. So the girl could be number 2, who's the older sister. Then a boy could be number 3. Then a girl could be number 4. Then a boy could be number 5. But the numbers are the order you were born.
Okay. It's kind of fair.
Because that's how people inherited property.
Yeah. Yeah.
So if you married the Anba, it's not as good as you married the Anhai. You understand?
Yes, because like the potential of getting stuff is not as big as the other guy.
But also the Anhai, he's going to inherit the whole thing, and he says something, and everyone has to listen.
There's no distribution of anything, right? Like the first one gets it all.
Yes.
Damn.
The male gets it all, but it's actually not necessarily true. You can actually give it to females too in Vietnam. We're actually much more open-minded. So the Asian, Chinese, Koreans, Chinese, and Japanese, they're very male-centric. All the boys get all the stuff. Okay? Vietnamese people, we're more open-minded. Actually, females can actually be leaders and presidents and stuff like that. Actually, the Filipinos are actually pretty open-minded too, because the Meryl Marcos was a woman, right? The Laotians, the Cambodians, and so basically the jungle Asians. So you know what the jungle Asian is, right?
Nope.
Okay, so you know how there's like black people and white people, right? Imagine you have a black Asian. It's some Asian who's dark, like me.
Yeah.
Okay, we're called jungle Asian because we live in the jungle. We live in the tropics, like Indonesia, like Malaysia, like Vietnam, and we're very dark. And so we're scary to the white people, the white Asians. There's actually white Asians and black Asians. If you actually believe in it, it's actually the word is actually called jungle Asian because that's more geographically.
I always thought it was crazy how we keep finding ways of separating and segregating people, like, and just like differentiating each other. Like, man, seriously, this is interesting though.
Well,
so what is it?
It's actually so the reason why is because if you're pale, right? If you don't have sun, that means you didn't have to work in the fields, and you're not basically a farmer.
That is fine.
Or you're rich, right? So being white is a really good thing. So the people in the north, like the north, like the Chinese, the Koreans, the people in the colder weather, they like being white.
I saw that one like when I went to Japan maybe like 15 years ago, and people were very, very self-conscious of the sun. In Canada, like when you're on vacation and you want to, like, the darker you are, the more on vacation you've been, so the better it is. So like you basically live in the Caribbean, you come back, and if you have a tan for the winter, it's awesome. Like, you're doing fine. But over there it was like quite the opposite. And here as well. I mean, like, here the less indigenous you are, the more privileges you can have.
So you're saying the darker you are, or the lighter you are?
That was in Canada though. And in Canada it was fine because, like, okay, if you have a tan in like December, it means you just came back from vacation, like you're well off. But
how about Ecuador?
No, that's in Canada.
Yeah. How about
in Canada? How
about Ecuador? So if you're lighter,
in Ecuador is lighter is better. Like, you will get treated differently.
And the reason is because, again, you don't work in the fields, right?
Well, yeah, and it's because of your descendants and everything that was there before you, like, as you're less indigenous, which is very weird, because we're all mixed.
Okay, so basically it's like a white thing, like you came from the colonists versus the people who lived here, so that's why you're a little bit lighter. Is that what you're trying? So that's why.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's a type of it's a type of color. So basically, white people want to be darker. Basically, the people in Canada who are white want to be darker, or they don't care. Maybe they kind of want to be darker because they have these tanning salons everywhere, and like Donald Trump and all these people, they spray tan and all that stuff, right? Whatever.
Yes, indeed, man.
Yeah. So and then basically Asian people want to be whiter, and then actually Vietnamese people, we also want to be whiter. So all the women would actually wear very long sleeves and long pants and long everything, and we basically it was silk. It was, but that's also to protect from the sun, right? But they
Okay.
didn't want to become too dark either. So actually, the Vietnamese women are actually kind of pale. So
Man.
compared to
Here they
other
used to
Jungle
sell a
Asian
cream
women,
that would like guarantee you would go down like 2 or 3 tones.
yeah, it's random because we all intermarry. So Vietnamese people, just like some of them are darker like me. I'm very dark, but I also have no hair. So it's also because I'm a fisherman, and it's really hot. So why would you have hair, right? So that's also another feature of being Jungle Asian is like we also have very little hair,
Okay.
right?
Yeah, yeah,
And we're darker. And so I think that's looked down upon by the other Asians. And there's actually a lot of racism in Asia. So I would
yeah.
say, in order, I would say the most racist Asian country is probably Japanese people are the most racist, I would say.
Oh yeah.
They're
Yeah.
very insular. Like, if you're not Japanese, if you go to Japan, you better speak Japanese. They're not going to. But they're very friendly, right? They
Yes.
outwardly.
Yeah, yeah, they would. Everybody that could help us helped us because I was there with a friend and we were both there just going on about and you could see that sometimes because you go with your guidebook, right, and you're like, oh, you have to go to this street and it's written there in English, and then you actually go there and everything's in Japanese. So like what not
There's a
now
lot of
what?
pride. There's a lot of pride to be
Yeah, yeah. It
Japanese.
but like these random
Tradition is
people
very
would yeah,
important.
but they would approach us and be like, hi, and they would try to practice their English, but not everybody spoke English there.
Yes, and the reason is because it's cool to be speaking English and listen to English things and all that stuff. But there's a lot of pride in being Japanese and keeping traditions and continuing that family,
Like the
whatever
tradition, everything. Yeah.
practice or whatever it is, and being proper and polite and orderly.
Yes.
Japanese people are very orderly, but that's also why they may be a little bit less creative.
Well, there was one of my friends used to date this Japanese girl, and one day we were talking, and she was telling me like I can count on my hands that on like the amounts of times that my father has hugged me, and it then creates this like distance between like you and the elders and everything, and this like display of emotions and everything. It was very weird.
Yeah, I would say that I was thinking about it the other day, and I would say that England is like
Yep.
Japan, right? So England, very
Okay.
early, they had
Yeah. Very
kings, they had
like proper
structure, they
and
had the court,
everything.
they had all these things that you had to be proper and all that stuff. They even had knights, right? So the
Yeah. They still
knights
do. They still do.
were the knights of the Round Table, are the samurai of Japan. The
Like
samurai are the knights.
descendants.
No, in terms of like the concept.
Okay, yeah, yeah. But I saw you could like trace some lineages and there's still people in power with that.
Well, first of all, the samurai were like basically they worked for
With the government.
the basically the leader of whatever the clan, okay,
Yep.
and they basically were sworn knights to the
Yes.
king essentially, okay, and so these people, these shoguns, whatever
Yep.
they basically swore fealty to, right?
Well, the
They
Shogun
would
was a
swear
rank,
their
you know.
life to it, and honor was very important,
Yes.
right? And so they practiced the Shinto religion, and they would basically disbow. They would kill themselves if they dishonor themselves, right? And they
Yeah,
would
with
commit
the
suicide,
harakiri
and that's
thing.
why the whole kamikaze thing in World War II, where they would just kill themselves,
Yep.
like crashing their planes into the enemy, that was from the samurai culture. So just think about like the King Arthur, like King Arthur thing. You know how many kids want to be King Arthur?
But that's because of all the movies and everything. Like it's cool.
Yes. So I was thinking about it, and Japan is like the UK. Think about
Okay.
everything about them is very
Yeah,
similar
yeah.
to the UK. They had an emperor. The UK had what?
You gotta have the king and the queen.
And right now, what happened to the emperor? The emperor is in name only, but they still get money from the government, right? But they don't have any power. And then they have a democracy. Guess what happened in the UK? Right? You have what?
Yeah.
A democracy, but then you pay the queen and the prince and all these whatever dukes and all that, and you give them a stipend to basically walk around and parade as if they're important, but they're
Yeah, but
not.
they're a show though. I mean, like I was very against this at the beginning, and but then like once you understand the economics behind it, they bring in more money than they spend.
Yeah, basically it's a brand. So when you
Yes,
go to the
exactly.
UK, you want
It's
to
like a
go
show.
at Buckingham Palace. When you go to Japan, you want to go to the emperor's palace, emperor's, whatever
Yep.
it is, right? So I
Yeah.
understand it's basically part of the tradition. You need to preserve it, and those
Yes.
guys get paid for a certain reason because maybe
Well,
they
they're
bring back some
putting.
revenue and all that stuff. But I'm just trying to bring the
Yeah.
parallels.
Yeah. Yeah.
So the UK and Japan are the same thing. I realize,
Okay. But they,
right?
like.
But the thing is, the UK, right? I would say they had a little bit more in terms of a different track
Okay.
in terms of democracy, and they found democracy. Whereas in Japan, they never found democracy. But then they got democracy later through after the war, and they're actually quite good at it. But they still have a lot of the old traditions, I would say.
But something like that, I really like the fact, like here when you see indigenous people, like nobody wants to dress like them, nobody wants to do anything like that, and and technically that they were like the first ones here, and the tradition should come from them. But in Japan, we were walking around the streets, and everybody was like very proper, wearing kimonos and everything, and it was very beautiful and nice to look at. The whole culture as well, like the geishas and everything. When you go to like the geisha quarters, it was very nice and everything. It was very well preserved, and it wasn't like frowned upon, like the dressing up and all these things.
Right, but at the same time, think about it, man. The suicide rate in Japan is super high.
Yeah, there's the
They're
stress
not
and
they're not
everything.
growing as a country.
No.
They actually have stagflation where they haven't grown as an economy in a long time. The number of people in Japan, they're decreasing every year. And that's because fundamentally, even though they're a democracy, they're a very insular country. They
Yeah.
don't allow immigration really. And
Nope.
when they have immigrants, I'm not sure if they embrace them fully.
Not
And I
really.
think because of that, it's also a choice. That's fine. That's what they chose to do because they want to preserve the tradition. But at the same time, that's their weakness.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, like just even being born in Japan, like you're not, unless your parents are Japanese and your whole like family is Japanese, you're not Japanese. If I like would have a kid in Japan, that kid would not be Japanese. It would be like a Canadian that was born in Japan, and that's it. And they don't get like the nationality or anything. You don't get citizenship, or it's like super hard and super complicated. And I remember like
Absolutely.
I was there for like 3 weeks, going on like from Tokyo to the south, like to Miyajima and all these places. It was super nice. And I remember, like you could see us, like we were the like we were the only non-Japanese ones there. I think I saw like one black guy, and that was it in 3 weeks.
Yeah, and I think it'd be hard pressed to really live there super long, and be
Yeah.
truly accepted. And I think that's what I'm trying to say. I think that's also why maybe the suicide rate is very high because there's a lot of tradition and a lot of things that you have to keep doing over and over again for the rest of your life. You feel like you're trapped in the tradition because if you break that tradition, your parents would disown you, your family would disown you. You basically there are people who just run away and just disappear and just start a new life in Japan. I mean, that's a random thing that happens in a society where basically it's peaceful, but what's the use of peace if mentally you're going insane of boredom?
And it was crazy expensive. I remember that. I
Yeah,
feel
I
like
mean,
there's like
sushi's
one in
amazing, but eating sushi for the rest of your life with no variety.
they have a ton of stuff. They
Can you
have
do
like
that, man? Can you really do that? I'm not sure, man. I love sushi, but like I want some variety. But also, like if you had to go make the sushi,
oh
right?
yeah, it was really good though. Like I did
I
have
know,
some
and I know
at
it's a
the.
tradition. You're very proud of it, but are you proud of it for 20 years? How proud are you after 50 years? I don't know,
They do
man.
have a bunch of other places though. Like
Some people it will attract some people, but then let's say you're the son and you expect it to follow that footstep. It's really hard to break that chain in a culture like that.
yeah,
Whereas in America, that's just whatever. Dad's business. Who cares?
yeah, that's what I was just telling you. I mean, like I moved out when I was 18. I'm like okay, like thank you, and that was it. Come back
But
later
that's not what
on.
happens. So the culture is
No,
completely different, and that's why Ecuador maybe has this chaos right now.
I don't know because I mean like as a parent, what you want, I mean, like, is to have functional children that will be able to go on about on their own in the world with what they learned. If your kids are not capable of leaving the house or leaving your protection, then I feel you messed up or you failed somewhere.
Yeah, you're right. but at the same time, you have to have order. So I think there's a balance in both. And so every country, that's why every country brings something to the table in terms of a model,
Yeah.
and then you can start to see, okay, if you did this, then this would happen. If you did this, and that's why the world is so amazing. That's why we have the show, because I guess we're 30 minutes into it. And we're basically talking about Ecuador, having issues, and Vietnam having issues when I was born, and still some issues probably moving forward, because there's obviously still a lot of growing pains for all these other countries, and we're very privileged to be here
Yeah,
in the
definitely.
U.S. and then in Canada and Ecuador or whatever, and in a position where you're actually upper middle class or wealthy or whatever it is, and it's hard to kind of see making it big in a country like Ecuador or Vietnam or somewhere else. And I'm telling you, that's possible. You can actually fulfill your dreams, because the internet age has
Yes.
made it easier for me to collaborate with, let's say, Roberto in Ecuador, and we're
Yep. Yeah,
collaborating
yeah.
on the Master OT thing. So what happened is, again, to recap the show, to catch everyone up, like we're basically in the midst of Phuc Labs' Republic campaign, where we are going to go to republic.com and do a crowdfunding campaign for the company. And the company right now is basically fundraising in the most turbulent time in the US in terms of the stock market. Oh my God. So that's why we want to talk about the turbulent time in Ecuador and then lead to the turbulent time in the US, because we're not free from that. In fact, I
Oh,
spoke with an investor recently, one of our investors. He gave me an assessment of the stock market, but also the VC, the venture capital market. And he basically said that like it's like the dot-com boom, but like maybe worse. Because everybody who was exposed to crypto, you know what crypto is?
yes.
Bitcoin and
Do you have any crypto?
Ethereum and Solano and all these other basically fake money, like digital money, they all crashed tremendously, like
Let's see how much is that right
60%,
now.
50%, 90% sometimes. And just basically these companies just went out of business suddenly. So for example, there was a stock called Coinbase in the US, and it was worth like $100 plus, 120, 150, whatever it was, and even more before. So it started at I think 300, 400, and now it's down to $30, $50,
Man.
something like that, $50, something
Yeah.
insanely small. We're like, holy shit, it lost like 80% of all the value.
Right
So from
now,
the
right,
peak,
like as we're doing this, Bitcoin is at 21,000.
so it's at 21,000. It started the
Yep.
year at 45,000 or something like
Yes.
that.
Well,
So it lost more
it's
than half the value. So imagine like you had like a house that was worth like 800,000. Let's say my house is worth, let's say, $1 million, like something like that in Boston, right? My $1 million house all of a sudden is now worth $500,000. How would that feel?
man out of nowhere, and you did nothing to change that.
And it's across all these people who invested in the next big thing. So the pyramid scheme of the past was the dot-com boom, where you had pets.com, you had all these websites, laundry.com, whatever.com. As long as I had a dot-com, it was worth $1 billion for some reason. Right? As long as you can get it public, you can raise this money and buy these companies and consolidate, consolidate, and consolidate, and then go public, and then you basically have all these other people buy the stock, and then you get out as soon as you can, and you cash out, and basically it's the classic pyramid scheme, where the people at the top of the pyramid, they win, and the people at the bottom of the pyramid, guess what?
Yeah, no,
It's happening right now
too
with
bad.
crypto.
But I mean, like, I do believe in crypto. Maybe like in the long run, it's not a right now investment because well, just look at what happened in Canada with the truckers from the states. All these bank accounts got shut down, and that was it. There was nothing anybody could do about it because the government
Yeah,
decided that, and that's
but
like,
there's a couple of things that actually hurt crypto short run, right? And I agree. Okay, so one of the things that hurt crypto short run was basically China banned it, and they took it
okay,
very serious about banning it, right?
yeah,
Because it was taking a lot of energy, and there's a lot of corruption where these people in China were basically creating these Bitcoin farms and just using free energy from the state.
yeah,
Okay, so essentially China was like wise to it, and they also want to have their own digital currency that they launched, the digital yuan, which they recently launched, and they want no competition because they want to be able to control money and spy on all their citizens and freeze any account they want, find out who's spending money where, and basically have complete control over the society. So basically, they banned Bitcoin, and so that was where a lot of the mining was happening. Plus, we had all these speculators come in, and the speculators just kept pumping up, pumping up, pumping up because they had this stimulus money in the U.S. where everyone just got $500 checks, $1,000 checks. They had blah 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 blah, right? And everyone's feeling hot because everything was doing well in terms of all the stuff they had invested in, and crypto in particular was only $5,000 a couple of years ago, and it was going to like 45,000. It was going to become $100,000 very soon.
It got to like 45.
Now it's half of that, but it's actually not down to 5,000. It's down to 21,000. It's not bad. But think about it. I think I was mining Bitcoin like when it first started, and I was like, this is something I don't want to be part of, but I wanted to see what it was like, and I was mining one coin, and it was taking me a while, but like my friend probably had like 50 coins or 100 coins at least from his own mining operations, at least 100 coins, and he might have lost his wallet. I don't know. Like, he would be
that's another one. That's crazy. I mean, like, I was thinking this guy who had like I don't know how many millions in a wallet, and he had like one more try on his password, and that was it.
I think some guy lost his wallet and he threw it in the trash, and he knows the dump where the trash was taken to. He got permission from the town to go try to find that hard drive because that's worth like hundreds of millions of dollars. Wow. That's a true story.
That's crazy.
But that's greed. That's basically me saying, I'm going to buy this thing that's ephemeral, that doesn't have any value, because I have trust that somebody else, another sucker, will believe in it after you. And at some point, some of that stuff actually makes sense. So it's actually you do trust in the person. Like, for example, I would say Bitcoin is pretty stable, because Bitcoin, there's so much involved with Bitcoin. If Bitcoin falls, Bitcoin itself, right?
Yeah.
That one type of coin,
yeah,
and everything else will fall. It's basically the top of the premium like type of coins.
Bank of America kind of situation, or like GM. Right. Like you're too big to fail at this point, so people will bail you out. Yeah.
Whole countries. Was it Venezuela or what country? Whole countries put money into Bitcoin as their national currency.
Oh, I think it was El Salvador or
El Salvador.
Yeah.
They're basically people who are investment bankers, Goldman Sachs, very wealthy people who have money in Bitcoin. It's one of those things where it's too big to fail at this point.
Yeah. Well, again,
and
GM
it won't
Bank
fail. It's just one of those things where the greedy people will probably be patient, and then by at some point it'll go up again. And they'll be like, I'm so wise, and blah, 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 blah.
It's a long-term thing.
And the people who freak out are the people who lose all the money. So hold on to your cash, hold on to your, if you can, and then wait till you think it's going to be the bottom, invest some, and then it'll go up. And if you have stock right now that's down, just hold on to it, cross your fingers, and then hopefully there's a parachute.
When you jump out like, that's where I'm going to retire, man. Do you have any Bitcoin?
Yeah, I know I don't have, but I have some stock in like Coinbase and other stuff, but that went down. Okay. So
but the thing is that do Bitcoins. Yeah.
My entire life is about jumping off the cliff and being fine and having the parachute. So I'm cool, man. Look, we could be dead in the bottom of the ocean when we escaped Vietnam, not just once, but twice.
Yeah.
Right. We grew up in the hood, grew up poor. I worked really hard to become wealthy, and I was 45 and broke. Okay. And now I just made some money. I made $1 million, but I actually paid off a lot of debt I had and took care of some stuff, and let some people help.
But man, having no debt
and now I'm back to basically square one, where like I don't have that much money, but that's cool. But I don't have any more bad karma. My karma is 100% cool. People actually owe me money now, which is great, instead of me owing any money. And my brother has a nice kitchen, and there's some savings that we can maybe count on for a little bit. But
the overall happiness around you is went up.
What's
like,
that?
And the overall happiness around you, like with your family and everything, went up. So that does improve your lifestyle as well.
Yeah.
Like one of these like intangible things. Yeah.
Who cares? Because I have my health. The anti-aging stuff is working very well. I've been telling the audience about the anti-aging and stuff. I look really fit. My wife is beautiful, and she's taking it too. And I have a beautiful family, so I have nothing to worry about. So like that's why I think when you're at peace, you have inner peace. I
Hmm.
truly have inner peace. So I actually remember this. I made a video of myself about a couple of years ago. I think about 3, 4 years ago, where like
Okay.
this is the happiest I am in my life. I have inner peace. This is before I left cryo. This is probably like 5 years ago, something like that.
Hmm.
And I've been at that, and I got more. And in fact, this year, I think in the last 12 months or a year, I've cried of happiness multiple times. Is that weird? That you
No,
cry of
man.
happiness?
It's not
Yeah,
weird.
I'm just
It's like
appreciative. I'm like,
overwhelming emotions that just like come out. And that's it.
just think about it. Like, I grew up with nothing. We escaped a country at the age of 4 or 5 where there was war. I grew up with a name Phuc, where, I had to stand up for myself and kind of do what I needed to do, right, to be where I am right now. And
Yes.
when I at the age of 12, I said, where would you be at 45? I imagine myself at 45, and I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be. In fact, I'm way ahead of where I'm supposed to be in terms of like my mind at the age of like 10 or whatever when I was dreaming. It's like when you're young and you're Oliver Twist. You know Oliver Twist, right? You're poor, you're growing up. Like, I want to be like this
Yeah.
at
You're like, I
45.
want some
I'm
more.
beyond that now. I don't know how the hell I did it. I got lucky, man. A lot of luck. A lot of luck, a lot of hard work. You make your own luck. But also, like, you have to be basically in the middle. You can't be like crazy. You can't be organized. You have to be kind of like willing to take the risk, but it has to be measured. You have to be accountable. You have to be like a samurai, or like Vietnamese people actually have honor. You
Yeah.
have to,
Yeah.
yeah. If you live your life with honor and people like working with you, and you treat people right, and you actually have a mission you really believe in, and actually people see that you're authentic, that's how you win. It's not that
Yeah.
hard.
Yeah. I read this thing like one of those like cheesy ads. It was like your vibe attracts your tribe, and it makes sense. Like whatever you are, people will come and flock towards you.
Yeah,
The right
just
kind of
just
people.
just think of it sports. That's why I like the people who basically do sports.
Hmm.
So if you do sports, you make a shot. Let's say a 3-point shot. You know going into this that it's 40%, 30%, whatever the number is, percentage that you make the shot.
Yep.
But if you make the shot, you can win the whole thing, right? So you take the shot because guess what? It's 99 to 99 and you're tied. And if you make that shot, you win the game. Okay?
Hmm.
Now, when you take that shot, everyone could probably make that shot if you shoot enough times. But who can make that shot at that moment when it matters? Who can stay calm? Who can basically say, you know what? I've done this shot a lot. I can make this, and I want to make this. And you guess what? There's a rhythm you get, right? So the championship Golden State Warriors, Stephen Curry, he's a clutch. That's what clutch is. I didn't know what clutch was. But clutch is actually really simple. Clutch is when you practice something so hard,
Okay.
and then you just want to win so bad, and then you have fun. The fun part is the piece that people don't understand. I'm having a lot of fun right now, man. When the world is falling apart, when you're losing 99 to 98, let's say, and you have to make that shot, and things look really bad, and you make that shot,
Yep.
and you get to be the hero, and you win, that's when heroes are made. That's when legends are made. This is a chance for immortality. A chance for us at Phuc Labs to go from zero in a market where basically everyone is crashing and burning. Basically, the zombie apocalypse of financial whatever. Go skip the zombie apocalypse because we're wise. We're not dumb. We're not going to go to talk to VCs and all these people who are basically struggling and having a
Like
bad
right
time.
now. Not right now. They're rushing around.
No. We'll go to regular people. People who may have some money that they want to invest, but maybe not too much, like $500, $400, right?
Yeah.
But you can see someone successful like me and who's reputable and honorable, and you can also see the device yourself. And for you, it's a really easy decision. So strategically, just going back to the show, what we have the show, when you fundraise money for a startup, you have to find the people who believe in you, who can cut a check right then. Okay, and you have to play to your strengths. So basically, when you go to a venture capitalist, these guys have to cut hundreds of thousands of dollars, maybe millions of dollars.
Mm-hmm.
And for them, they have a partnership, and they have only a few shots they can take a year. They can only do 2 shots a year per person. So the way it works is that there'll be partnership, and each partner or each person can do 2 deals a year, probably,
Okay.
maybe one. Okay, depending on the situation. So for them, you need to find a champion who's a venture capitalist who basically is willing to go and sponsor your trip to America, like Christopher Columbus. So Christopher Columbus had to go around and
Yeah.
find all the kings and queens in Europe and say, hey, who wants to give me money to take these 3 ships and explore for America? But if I do, then you're going to be really wealthy and famous and all that stuff. And
Yeah.
then maybe one of the queens will actually sponsor it, and that's what happened.
They like take the risk, huh?
Right. But
Yep.
now, let's say there's war in Europe, and all the queens are fighting, or worried about whatever, the war coming to them, or, crypto crash, whatever it is. So basically, the .com crash, crypto crash, is happening right now. So do you want to go to the queen? No. You want to go to somewhere else where other people can believe in you, and you say, wow, you know what? There's a new kid in town. There's this company called Republic. Republic, by the way, was also founded by a Vietnamese person. His name is Kendrick Nguyen. So maybe this is meant to be in terms of fate. But Kendrick Nguyen started this company and has raised hundreds of millions of dollars in terms of funding for their customers, but also for themselves. So they're actually they're like Uber, they're like a billion-dollar company, right?
Yeah.
And they only accept 3% of the people who apply. So when we
Oh.
applied, we were unanimously basically accepted. So everyone on the judging committee accepted us, and we were basically brought in a couple of weeks ago, and we've been working with their team and creating a video and creating a story, and we're about to launch in actually next week we'll probably have like a quick kind of starter page to kind of try, kind of warm up the audience, right? That people
Yep.
can take a look. And the idea is July, August, we'll fundraise,
That's
and by
soon,
the
huh?
end of the summer, we'll basically have $1 million, hopefully. And we don't, then that means I did something wrong, because I'm gonna hustle my butt off, and this is what it takes. Because when the going gets tough, when there's a riot in Ecuador, when things are going bad in the U.S. in terms of the financial markets, and your startup is actually struggling to fundraise, look at us. Look at what we're doing right now. We're hustling. Okay?
Yes. Every day.
We're hustling. We got into Republic, and Republic only accepts 3% of the people. It's harder to get to Republic than to like Ivy League schools, right? And then 90% of the people will actually be successful in their campaign. Now that was the number before this whole financial crisis. So I don't know what the number is going to be after the financial crisis, but I believe in us, and I believe in betting on myself, betting on my team, betting on our technology, and then getting people to cut $400 checks. Because on Republic, that's the average check size. $400 checks. That means you need 2,000 people to believe in us. Okay, I think we have 20
Which is,
here listening to the
yeah,
show, so
definitely.
that's a good start. But just put
20,
$400 in. But the main thing is
21 with me if you want. Like, I'm in as well, man. It's a great project.
absolutely it's going to save the world, and you want to be part of it, and it fulfills a mission from one of the greatest physicists of all time, James Clerk Maxwell. He was Einstein's hero. He thought of this concept of Maxwell's demon, where if a
Hmm.
demon can use information, the demon can sort molecules, just like we're doing with our AI. And we call it hydrorobotics. Hydro, like water, and robots, hydrorobotics. We're actually having a conveyor belt in water. Water is a conveyor belt. And we use robotics to move the packages to the right destination. We call it the vision valve. It works. It actually works for a while, and we've sorted many things. And now, actually, yesterday, I met with a member of our team who's going to help us buy the materials. And so we buy materials for $1, and then we basically sell it for more than $1. Let's say we sell it for $2. and the energy costs are like a few cents. So that's the plan. And so that's the investment. It's very simple. We have a widget, we have a device that literally, I compare it to like a golden goose. So we have a golden goose that walks around and it eats trash. It eats trash from the different locations that we partner with. So, for example, the Philippines, we have the largest e-waste recycler in the Philippines. They have the product for us. We're going to put it at the factory right there. And the goose, there's not just one goose, but there's many geese. We'll have one goose can do like a gallon a minute, and then 2 geese can do 2 gallons a minute, 3 geese can do 3 gallons a minute, 4 geese. So it's like a rack server. Each of our systems is a rack server in a data center, where the more servers that you have, the more that you rack, the bigger the data center, the more you can process. And the system can process in such a way where it pays back itself in less than a couple of days. So that's basically a couple of days. Yeah, it's amazing. So it's one of those things where literally information, okay, is the third force of nature. This is real magic, guys. Okay, at Phuc Labs, we're working on real magic. You have matter, you have energy. Matter is something like a filter. Like a filter is matter. It's like for example, this is a filter right here. Right? This filter has pores, and the pores has different sizes, and that matter can sort your coffee grinds or anything you want, right? As long as the pore size is small enough, or where the correct shape and all that stuff. Does that make sense? But the problem with the membrane, it's analog, meaning it's physical. It will get clogged over time. And in fact, when you push energy through this membrane, push water through this membrane, you have to actually force it through the membrane, and you have head loss. And therefore, it costs energy to pump it through. So not only do you have to physically replace this membrane, but you also have to use energy to pump the energy to pump the water through it, because it takes energy to pump the water through the membrane. You know what I'm saying?
You have to push it through.
Yeah, and then as it gets clogged over time, it gets less effective.
Yes.
And that's called Roberson's limit. Robeson.
Well, yeah,
Or
because
Roberson's law.
the better it works, the more stuff it gets, and the less water can flow through it.
Correct. The more energy it would take.
Yeah.
And that's why the CO2 filters that use nanofibers, they'll clog immediately and they'll just stop working. It's just not economical for, like, let's say that application, right? So our technology is digital. We don't have a membrane at all, right? We basically have information, and then we harness the information to basically move the water left to right using a device that basically moves. We call it the vision valve, right? We shoot the water left to right. So imagine like the carnival game or something like that, where you shoot the water gun and then you shoot straight left to right, something like that, right?
Yep.
And the idea is it's an oscillating wave of data, where this wave of data, we're just cutting the edges of the data, and we're collecting all the zeros, we're collecting all the nines. So 0 is something that's white, and 9 is something that's black, and we're getting all the things that are pure copper, let's say, that's 0, and then all the things that are 9, which is pure aluminum, right? Because it's a different color, whatever it is. Because 9, let's say, is a silver, right? And copper is, let's say, 0 is more like copper looking. What, does it look more like copper, or more like? Does it look more like a penny, or does it look more like a dime?
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
Can you tell the difference as a human, Roberto?
Yes.
So if I could tell the difference as a human between a penny and a dime, then a computer could tell the difference, but it could do it faster. How fast? It could do as fast as the computer can do it.
And
so
for
I left the lab.
Like, I can only look at pennies and dimes for like a...
How many times do you think in a second you can look?
If I see them, like a flow of them just like go by?
No, just I have a picture. Do you think you can tell in 1 second?
Yes.
How many pictures can you do in 1 second?
24.
You can see 24 pictures right now in 1 second. You can make the decisions.
Probably 12 actually. 12 is more accurate.
Penny, dime. You can tell me how many pictures can you in sequence? Maybe like, 2, 3 in a second.
No. I see like about between 8 and 12. Because I'm an animator. I mean, like I look at
1
frames.
second.
It's a training.
Okay, how long can you do that? Can you do that for more than 1 second? Can you do that for a day? He did it for 12
No,
hours
no, no.
straight.
That's the thing. Like I can. Like, it's probably like a one shot thing kind of situation.
Okay, how about this? Can you do 100 a second?
No, no, no. That's not feasible.
We're able to do 100 a second.
That's awesome. No, it is. And like I feel like I'm not like the average either, because like I told you, like I'm more of my eyes are trained a little bit different because of the animation stuff. Like I
So
can see
yeah,
it.
so basically
Yeah.
Maxwell's demon, the demon is the AI.
Mm-hmm.
AI is the brain of the robot,
Yep.
right? And the AI can run as fast as a video game system. And that's what
Yeah.
we're
Yeah.
using. We're using a GPU, a video, and just like Bitcoin mining,
Okay.
instead of the pyramid scheme of Bitcoin mining, that's why we kind of brought up Bitcoin mining. You can
You don't
actually
believe in
mine
Bitcoin at all,
real
do you?
coins. Because back then, people would shave coins. You know what shaving coins was?
Mm-mm.
So shaving coins, you know that all the coins have ridges on them.
Yes.
Why do you think they have ridges?
Design.
No, because people who are poor would take the coins and shave little pieces of copper, little pieces of gold, little pieces of silver, and then still use a coin as a real coin. And then those shavings, they would then melt and make into basically money, right? Or
What?
to sell. Yeah, so they would shave coins. So literally, little pieces of the coin, still use the
Yeah.
coin, still use a coin
And you just have
for,
the extra
buying
material
stuff,
right
and now the
there.
coin's
Yeah.
out of their system, and then they just keep doing that over and over again. And then they have these ridges.
Okay.
So actually, I think it was
Yeah.
someone invented them, and that's to prevent the shaving of the coin, because you can look at the ridges. If the ridges aren't there, that means that someone shaved the coin.
Okay. Yeah, well, makes sense. It's a security system,
make sense?
like built-in security system.
So imagine that you have this little small piece of copper, a small piece of aluminum, and then we've grinded it small, like those shavings, like shaving the coins. So instead of shaving coins, we put your iPhone, you put your battery, we put your laptop, we put anything electronics, or we already have it because we're partnering with people who already do that already, by the way. We just go to that factory where they have these grinded materials that now we can have a tow booth. And the tow booth is the AI using water like a conveyor belt, and then grabbing the packages at once, grabbing all the copper packages, grabbing all the aluminum packages, grabbing all the gold packages, grabbing plastic, moving it to the right locations. And just like the analogy, we have the golden goose, poop out, copper eggs, aluminum eggs, gold eggs, plastic eggs. We
That's
have
awesome.
a golden goose. We just have
Yeah.
to feed it. That's it. That basic.
And I mean, like,
The golden
and you're
goose would
feeding
then
it
put in these
trash,
factories
right?
where there's already trash, and the
Exactly.
golden goose eats trash and poops out money.
It's a win-win. Like I really don't get how they're like nobody jumped on this from the beginning. Like one
Well,
of those, like,
look, people almost did, and the thing is, we were going to sell customers and all that, and then we realized that they had the epiphany. You know what? Too late. But now it's not. This is good for the market, good for the people in the Republic. Where basically, we shouldn't sell anything to anybody. It's like you have a golden goose. Why would you pimp out your golden goose? Keep
the
it.
man.
Just buy it, and guess what? You can make more geese. You can have a whole geese farm just eating trash and pooping out all these eggs for you. And then you sell the eggs and you make money. We didn't know that until probably like a month ago. But that's cool. That's why we go through this process. And you've been part of the show. We evolved it when we were super hot. We went through this Urban X program. And the show is ending in a minute or two. But we went through this program where Urban X was accelerator. We were in. And we pitched. We had a lot of interest. We pitched at dozens and dozens of VCs. A lot of them were super interested. Some of them went really super far to their partner meeting, vetted us, called customers, everything. We almost got checks and everything. But then nothing happened because we were a little bit early for them. And maybe they were right, because we're trying to sell customers and do this and this and this. And then at some point, we realized too late that road we needed to simplify. And we need to just say, hey, what did we invent? What did we do? What's our quan? What's our secret sauce? What's the thing that gives us an unfair advantage? And then we realize it's just this goose. It lays eggs that are very valuable. We just had to feed it. And then now we basically simplified it. So now we get to feed it, and then we get to benefit immediately. And guess what? The people in Republic are just regular folks like me and you. And this might have been on purpose, fate, that we didn't take money from the rich folks
Ah,
who are venture capitalists.
believe in destiny.
Maybe it was meant to be that we go just regular folks, and regular folks can fund this and save the planet with us. Because every phone, every laptop in the Mars colony in 20 years, 10 years, they're going to need to recycle everything in the colony. And our
Yep.
goal at Phuc Labs is to be the technology that powers that on your spaceship when the aliens come and everything, right? They're going to have to recycle everything. And they're not going to use membranes. They're not going to use matter. They're not going to use energy.
Yeah.
They're going to use information. Because information, our technology, is the best technology to sort these things, right? Because smelting costs energy. Sludging costs energy. Matter and energy versus information. I pick information. And that's a new power that humanity has been unleashed to humanity because of this invention. I'm very proud of it, but this is just the beginning of Phuc Labs. And we're going to invent more things, and we're going to do more. But this invention itself is very simple. I'll leave you with that. Thank you for supporting us. When we have the campaign page next week, hopefully you guys will go ahead
You're
and
definitely getting it.
and like tell all your friends and stuff. And you know
Oh.
what? Once we go to Republic, we're successful for the million, and we prove it works. We can go back to Republic, and we'll keep going back to Republic. I don't want to ever go back to the VC market again. Because
Good.
I want regular fee people, regular folk.
We're the ones that care,
If the
man.
VCs want to put money in, they can go to Republic. But I want this to be a democratic, fair process where any average Joe can buy a lottery ticket in Phuc Labs. Help the planet. Take these geese that we built, feed the geese, lay these eggs, benefit humanity, benefit yourself, benefit everybody, and have it be an open system where everyone can benefit and just go to Republic and just do it. And we're going to go there from now on. That's my goal. But anyway, I'll leave you with that. Thank
good.
you, Roberto, for your
Thank
commitment.
you. I'll see you
You
guys
you're
next
giving me
time.
the first check?
Oh yeah, definitely. Man, I'll
Okay.
for sure.
All right, man. Thank you. And hopefully, Phucsters, you guys will support the show after 26 episodes.
Oh
Put
yeah,
a little
we'll
bit of money
see.
in, but I know you're gonna make a ton of just a little bragging. My last company, when I told my friends and family to invest, they put the money in, okay, and I could tell with confidence that they made 20 times their money already.
Oh, it's putting a
I
lot.
know. That's why I'm rich, because I know the valuation of the company. When they put their money in, let's say you put 10,000 in, 20 times 10,000 is enough to buy a small house. $200,000.
You buy a big
Right.
house if you come to Ecuador.
So all my friends who bet on me in clinical research IO now have a house because of that. Maybe more.
Yeah.
It's gonna keep going up. Imagine that being 100x. 100 times $10,000 is how much, guys? $1 million. But it might be 1,000x by the end, and if it's 1,000x, that's $10 million.
Worth it. That's worth
life
it.
changing. All right, that is the trajectory that my last company's on. There's 3 ways you can judge an investment. It's car changing, house changing, and life changing. My last company, the people who believed in me, it's already been past car changing, past house changing. It's on the way to life changing for them. And hopefully you can benefit from Phuc Labs as well. So thanks, guys. Thanks for your support, and we'll talk to you next time.
See you guys next time. Take care.